All right, Tyson Fury against Cunningham. We'll start with that. Jesus Christ, I watched it the other night and it was like a Rocky film, wasn't it? It was.
It was definitely one of those entertaining fights for the neutral. I'll tell you that it was a good fight actually. I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie, I had quite a lot of alcohol inside me, and it was really fun to watch. I thought it was end to end. Steve did a lot that I didn't expect him to, and yeah, Tyson Fury came back in the end and got the job done, just about. What did you think about it?
Tyson Fury. Oh, do you know what? If I had to get someone who wasn't a boxing fan to try and turn them into a boxing fan, I'd make them watch a Tyson Fury fight because it's fucking hell. It's like a film, isn't it? Everything. You don't know what he's going to do, whether he's going to get put flat on his arse, whether he's going to be brilliant. And he did both, didn't he?
Well, yeah, he done a bit of everything in that fight, I think.
Yeah, so the absolute best of them and the absolute just worst of them. Cause
yeah. Which part do you want to start with? Shall we start talking about the worst?
Yeah, but all right then.
It's always
start the fight.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I'll start with this one then. The first thing I will say is Tyson Fury came out and he looked really angry. He looks like a mental patient, I'm telling you. He come out looking angry. I had to laugh at that. Got in the ring, was really slow, abandoned his jab, abandoned all boxing fundamentals. And then, Steve really came out, with guns blazing. He done really well. I didn't think he would do so well, to be honest. I done a special debate on that fight, and I also did a prediction. And in both of them, I basically said I don't see Steve, winning too many rounds. But no, that was not the case. He took it to Tyson. Yeah, I mean everything was good, from Steve Cunningham, and it just turned out everything was bad from Tyson Fury. What did you think?
Exactly the same. I never thought in a million years he'd play Fury at his own game. Which you'd think he was just going to run away and try and jib-jab Fury, but he came out like a bull to me and ran at Fury.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and if you'd have told me that he'd have done that to start the fight, I'd have thought, oh, he's going to get his face caved in. And he actually caved Tyson's face in, and actually I watched it and me jaw dropped. I was like, it was like when Price got dropped against Thompson. It was like, did that just happen? Seriously?
Yeah, I know. It was even better because the adverts hadn't come back properly yet, so he just cut off the adverts and showing Tyson Fury getting like knocked sparked down, and I was like, oh no. And the way he was lying there, I was thinking, I don't think he's going to get up.
Yeah, I thought the exact same. He laid there and he kind of put his arms behind his head, didn't he? It's what fighters do when they're actually hurt and they're not going to get up. The adverts came on just after he shoved Cunningham, didn't it, at the end of the first round? And I remember thinking, oh no, don't cut away now. It's getting good. He pushed Cunningham into the ropes, and as soon as it came back on, I was literally looking at my computer screen and looked up and caught it. 3 seconds what happens, and thought, oh my sweet Jesus. Like that. I couldn't believe Fury went down, and I've seen the punch since, and it wasn't massive, was it? The point, he didn't get him clean on the chin. He looked like he caught him on the side of the nose, or something like that. So, do you think it's a case of Fury's chin is really, really rubbish, or do you think his defence is just wide open?
His defence is wide open.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. I mean, it was the exact same punch that Nevin Pakic, dropped him with. That's what I was thinking. The first thing, because I was in a room with a load of non-boxing supporters who actually all loved the fight. Funny enough, and then they were like, "Wow, he just got dropped hard," and I was like, "Yep, same punch as a different guy dropped him with," and that's going to be the tail. One of the big targets that any other fighter can do. He's open to an overhand right. He really is. He just doesn't see it coming. Anyone's got a good right hand, can throw it over the top of his. Then there you go. He's good. There's a good chance he's going to go down.
Yeah. I don't know whether maybe he's a bit lazy, but he switches off, doesn't he? Fury?
Oh, yeah.
And he loses concentration, and that's what happens. He drops his hands really low, and he gets over. I don't know whether he's just being lazy, or he's being stupid, or he's being overconfident, but he leaves himself wide open, and it's the second time he's been smacked now by 2 non-punchers, and come on, if Klitschko had done that, or Daniel Price had done that, he wouldn't be getting up, would he? I don't care.
Or Pulev, who's got to fight next.
Yeah.
If that was Pulev, I don't think he'd have got up.
Yeah. I don't know what to make of Fury, mate. He's absolutely crazy, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, let's give him a bit of credit. You know, he did recover quite quickly from that part. And then one of the things that he did do really well in the fight that I don't think anyone has picked up on was he cut the ring down on Cunningham really fast. You know, I mean, like, really crazy fast. Cunningham, you know, unloaded a lot of punches. And I don't think just going back, you said, is his chin rubbish? I don't think it is, because Cunningham did hit him with a lot of leather inside the first 5 rounds. And, you know, at the end, Tyson took it. Oh, no, sorry, let's not call him Tyson, please. Can we call him Fury?
Yeah, Fury.
Let's call him Fury from now on.
Only one Tyson, yeah.
Yeah, there's only one Fury, you know. Well, there's not. But, you know, Fury, you know, he cut the ring down really well. He sucked up a lot of damage, but he just took it. And, you know, Cunningham pretty much gassed himself out inside the first 5. And then, you know, I think writing was on the wall. I said to everyone, yeah, writing's on the wall here after round 5.
Yeah, I agree with you there. That knockout was coming, really, wasn't it? Because Fury's chin's not. I don't really think it's that weak because, like you said, he got hit with a lot of good punches, didn't he? I think again, it's just a case of he leaves himself wide open and he's caught flush. Really, isn't he? He's hit by punches. It's not that he can't take the punches. He's just hit by punches he's not expecting. But like you said, he really came back. I think after the what round was he deducted a point in?
I think it was either round 4. Was it? I think it was round 4.
I thought that was the turning point, I think, because he leans on Cunningham a lot, and even though that's a bit of a sneaky tactic, that works really perfectly because Cunningham just got knackered from having a big 6'9" guy on top of him, and you know he gassed himself out. And Fury, I'm trying to think how to say it. I think Naseem Richardson, I don't think he's got any right at all to moan at Fury for doing that because how many of his fighters do not dirty tactics but sneaky tactics?
Oh, of course. You know, I mean, it wasn't just that. I mean, if you want to, you know, jump to that part of the talk, I mean, you know, the knockout punch. You could have an argument to say that it was I wouldn't say illegal. I wouldn't call it massively illegal. It's just a frowned upon tactic. That's just frowned upon. But, you know, too many guys do that, you know. The same thing, Mayweather gets away with the same thing, fight after fight after fight, and people don't even bring it up. So why did he bring it up when an American gets knocked out by Tyson Fury? You know, the other thing you could say is, you know, like I said, the writing was on the wall. Literally 5 seconds before the actual knockout, Fury landed a brilliant body shot. It was like an uppercut to the body. And, you know, at that point, he stiffened up, did Steve. He was stiff. You know, Tyson Fury could just push him around. And then it came up to where, you know, the actual knockout punch was. But just before the knockout punch, the guy who had the camera had it right in Steve's face. And he just looked like he didn't want to be there. He actually looked in a lot of distress. I don't want to call it like he was about to start crying. But I think that was the closest to where it was. He was looking like he was gassed. He was like getting ready to go down. He was really in trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was getting beat up at the end of the day, wasn't he? And he's a human being. No one likes getting beat up, really, do they? So
of course.
And Fury was beating him up exactly. The point I was going to make was Richardson's got no right to moan because at the end of the day, it's a fight. At the end of the day, you can't moan just because your fella got his head smashed in. At the end of the day, if he'd have hit him below the belt, then all right. But anything apart from that, come on. As Ricky Hatton said, it's not a tickling contest. It's let two fellas have a scrap, for Christ's sake, and Cunningham lost the scrap, simple as that. Like you said, it was coming for a while. Fury overpowered him, leaned on him, bullied him, bashed him about. Cunningham gassed, and it was if they had a rematch, it wouldn't be any different, I don't think.
No.
They want a rematch, don't they, Cunningham? But he wouldn't catch Fury like that again, I don't think. And I think Fury would just do the exact same. He'd bully him, he'd bash him up, and he'd knock him out again.
Yeah, maybe Fury would even, you know, start faster. Yeah, because, you know, Fury, like I said, he didn't respect him as much as he should have. And, you know, like I said, like I did point out, he did cut down the ring down really fast. If he does that straight away, then there's a good chance he could do that again. Any referee's not going to really stop Fury from leaning on him because, you know, loads of people lean on guys. I mean, if they're gonna stop Fury from leaning on him, you know, are they then gonna go on to people like Wladimir Klitschko, who really takes the piss with his leaning, his tactical leaning, and then are they gonna go and, I mean, who else is there? Nazim Richardson trains. Bernard Hopkins. Is he going to get stopped from tactically clinching when he fights Karo Murat?
No.
No, of course he's not. Of course he's not. So nothing's going to come down at the end of this, this having a talk to the New York State Commission. Nothing's going to come of it. They're just going to say to him, look, you lost, move on. And that's what happened. You lost, move on. I mean, I actually spoke to Steve Cunningham before this whole thing on Skype with a few other people, and a lot of us did say to him, we had to say, and we said it in the most respectful way we could, we don't think this is a good fight for you. We said it to him, we don't think it's a good fight for you, and he said, I'll fight anyone, I'm from Philly. And you know what, he did fight anyone, and he got knocked out.
Accept it, yeah.
Accept it sometimes, and I've got to point it, I'm just going to say it, his wife's the one who's putting him in these matches, yeah, he can say no to them. If she's putting him in these matches that he can't win, he's got to get a new manager. Because if she's putting him in matches like that, where I didn't think he had a hope against Fury. He fought. Let's be honest, he fought a very good fight in terms of the first 4 rounds, but it was not good in terms of self-preservation at all. Right? He didn't help self-preserve himself in that fight. He ended up getting caught and, put down and taken out. I can understand why he does feel aggrieved that, Fury got away with leaning on him and also brushing his arm away with a forearm and then knocking him out. But, like I said, shit happens, get over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree with you absolutely completely. I don't think him moaning about getting beaten is going to change. Like again, it's not like he was low blows. It's not like he was it when he was on the floor, something like that. He got beat up.
Yeah.
Simple as that, really, wasn't it? And if you get beat up, you'd accept it. Fury was bigger than him. Fury was stronger than him. Fury beat him. Simple as that. Accept it. Move on. Go somewhere else.
Exactly. There's so many other fighters who've been wastely done by. Let's be real. Joseph Agbeko versus Abner Mares. That was disgusting. That was disgusting what they done to Agbeko. And they only got away with it because I personally think they only got away with it because he was from Africa. That's the only reason I think he got away with it over the hometown person. But he didn't moan and cry about it. He's getting on with his job, and that's what I think. Steve Cunningham's got to do. Just get on with the job. His career's not over. He can still chase other fights. There's still good American fights he can take. I mean, if he makes one good victory against a journeyman, he can go into a Deontay Wilder fight. And if he fights similar to that, it could be a very interesting fight.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000,000%. As nice as you can put it, you lost, Steve. Simple as that. There's no point chasing up. The horse is already bolted. You lost. You're not going to get it overturned. If you get a rematch, you're not going to do any better. Simple as that. Move on now. Mm-hmm. So, you mentioned Deontay Wilder there. What's your biggest chance? I'm laughing because I'm about to say a guy's name who makes me laugh, Audley Harrison.
Oh, yeah.
What's your biggest chances are against Audley? What do you think Audley's chances are against Deontay Wilder?
I actually think this is a good fight, believe it or not.
I do, yeah.
I don't say this often.
I think this fight is... I might be bonkers when I say I think this fight is more interesting than any fight on the undercard of Carl Froch, Kessler. What are the fights on that? George Grove against some Uruguayan we've never heard of. Mm-hmm. Bellew versus Chilemba 2. I saw that first fight. I don't want to see. I was there at the Echo Arena. I don't want to see it again. It was horrible. And who else is there? A couple of prospects. But I think it's a fight that's got people talking. This, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, one thing. There's been a lot of upsets this year. Could this be the next one? And I'm not gonna lie. There's a few omens in this fight that's got upset written all over it. The first thing that I read, on one trashy website was that Deontay Wilder's only had 2 weeks training for this fight.
Do you think that's a bit of a white lie? Do you think he's just trying to big himself up and make him sound like a tough guy? Because surely he wouldn't do that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I hope so for his sake. Because if he gets in the ring, thinking he's going to blow his man out in 2 rounds, and then he realizes 4 rounds later that he's actually in a fight, and stamina may come into this. It could be a totally different thing, or he better have people like that.
Yeah.
I mean, do the thing. What's going on with Audley? Audley and Deontay Wilder, which one dropped which one in sparring, we don't know. We honestly don't know.
We don't know, no.
I mean,
it's a funny one with Audley, isn't it? Like, everyone hates him, everyone gives him stick. But I think for this fight, this might be the only time where he's got a lot of people kind of behind him, sort of thing. Deontay Wilder's this big hyped up American who they're all saying is going to win the world title and win all this, and he's missed a big shot. And they've got poor old Audley who's like the laughing stock of Britain thing. But it's a kind of thing like he's rubbish, but he's our rubbish sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone wants the little rubbish British guy underdog to kind of beat the big hyped up American, so we could all like point and laugh sort of thing. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, you know, Deontay, let's be honest, there's a reason Deontay Wilder is being brought along really, 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 really slowly. And we've got to find out what it is. And this is going to be, I mean, this is his step, this is his acid test. Yeah. This is it for him. And, you know, this is a guy who's been blasted out in a round, who, you know, didn't throw a punch against David Haye in the biggest fight of his life. This is a guy who, you know, Deontay should in theory blast him out in a round. If he's better than David Price, which they say he is, he should blast him out inside a round. If he's better than, you know, all these other heavyweights that are out there, he should blast them out. I mean, let's be real. He should blast them out inside the first 3.
Yeah.
You know, I would say inside a round if the hype is all real. But I don't think it is. I think there's real issues why he's being brought along so slowly. I mean, I understand, or it's a rumor that, you know, he's not actually been, into boxing for a long time, like a lot of other people have.
Yeah.
So he's still learning his trade. He's going along, a bit like, you know, how some Mexicans do it when they turn pro.
Yeah, they turn pro after like a few sessions in the gym, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what they've done with him, except he had the good right hand where he could get quite a bit, you know, quite far inside the American amateur system. But then again, the American heavyweight system is gash.
Garbage. Yeah. Seriously, toilet.
Yeah. So, you know, we're going to wait and see. I mean, who is the best guy on his record? You know,
if every guy on his record looks like he works in a kebab shop, seriously, doesn't he? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, did you see that guy who came to the ring with a knee brace? A fat middleweight with a knee brace? You know, if that's your best opponent, you know, good lord. If you're wearing a knee brace and he took him 2 rounds, a knee brace, you know, what's going on? Even Hasim Rahman didn't go 2 rounds, did he, with a knee brace?
Yeah. It's the thing, Audley. Everyone likes to say Audley's like really, 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 really crap. And he's all right. He's not world level. But he's not absolutely awful. It's like Eddie Hearn said. If he was absolutely no good, then he wouldn't have won Prize Fighter twice, would he? And I know not everyone likes Prize Fighter, and not everyone can judge it. But in the 2 Prize Fighters, he did show us glimpses of what he can do. He knocked that guy. I can't think of his name. Some German guy who's pretty much the same as every guy on the Deontay Wilder's faced. He knocked that guy out in 10 seconds with a left hand. The left hand.
Yeah, one left.
He outboxed Martin Rogan, who I know he's old and stuff like that. He was never that good to begin with, but he completely outboxed. Martin Rogan couldn't get near him, could he?
Nope.
And then he absolutely beat up that big fat American guy, who again looks just like every opponent Deontay Wilder's face. So.
Well, actually, I thought he was better than a lot of the opponents Deontay Wilder's faced. He's fought some decent, you know, opponents, really, looking on his record.
Derek Rossi, what was his name?
Derek Rossi, Derek Rossi. I mean, he's not, you know, to be honest with Derek Rossi, he's definitely not a tomato can. You know, he's had a lot of hard fights. He's had a lot of fights where, you know, he's definitely lost, but he's also won some decent fights. He didn't get to the end of Prize Fighter himself by just, you know, being a bum.
Yeah, I admit I didn't know much about him. I was one of these guys where you just take a look at him and you just
you know, but you know, Audley handled him out. I mean, that guy was physically afraid of where the next left hand was coming from. I mean,
put it this way, Audley Harrison, I think if he fought all of Deontay Wilder's opponents, I think he'd have the exact same record, if not even better. And this is Audley Harrison we're talking about, but like you said, the guy who's pretty much he's the biggest. I like him personally, but he's looked at as the biggest joke in the sport, isn't he? And And if Deontay Wilder loses to him, then oh my God, he might sort of stand his gloves in and show himself the door. If he loses to Audley.
I know. I don't see. You know, that's the thing. I mean, if he loses to Audley Harrison, you know, that's going to be. I don't know. I mean, you know, at least Tony Thompson is a two-time world title challenger and got a brilliant knockout ratio of his own and stuff like that. But, you know, Audley Harrison's got a good knockout ratio. He's a one-time world title challenger, gift shot. But, you know, he's not world level. He's not world level, I'll tell you that. If he gets knocked out by him, and you know, I can sort of see it happening. I don't see.
I can, yeah.
You know, if Audley Harrison comes in shape, that's what is it? He likes being. Is it 17 stone?
Well, yeah, something like that. He came in a lot lighter for prize fight, didn't he?
Oh, of course, yeah, and he came in the same weight as I think for the prize fight. He just got caught early.
Yeah.
You know, so there is a chance he could get caught early. Let's be honest. I mean, he is a southpaw. Southpaws are open to the right hand.
Yeah.
You know, are susceptible to the right hand. So there is a chance that Deontay could blast him out early, which he's expected to do. But if that doesn't happen, you know, that left hand could just detonate onto the side of his jaw. And with he's got long legs, long skinny legs. I'm not sure he can take a shot, you know.
I know, yeah, that's another rumour going now, doesn't it? That he's got a very, very poor chin. Didn't he get dropped against one of these fat guys as well?
Yeah, he did get dropped by some guy. Yeah, they didn't even show it on TV. That's how good he was. But there's pictures of it that you can see on the thing where he does get dropped hard by the guy.
Yeah, and if Audley Harrison's got anything, he's got a very, very good left hand, hasn't he? It's just that he just doesn't land it often enough. But if Audley Harrison landed his left hand on, I don't know, at least on 3/4 of their heavyweight division, he'd knock him out, in my opinion.
There's a good chance, yeah. Good chance.
It's not the best punch in the division, but it's very, very good if he can land it. It's just that he doesn't land it often enough. But I think he definitely could land it against Wilder. Because I think it's obvious how it's going to happen. What Wilder's going to try to do. Wilder's going to rush out at him and try and detonate a big punch on him, and he's hoping Audley's just going to freeze up like he always does and just be cannon fodder. And to be honest, you can see that happening as well.
Definitely. Yeah, I can see that happening, but you know, if he misses that right hand...
Yeah, and Audley can bring his counter over and catch him, then it could be curtains, couldn't it? I'll say this now, I've got nothing against Deontay Wilder. I know he's just been kind of lapped at his record, but I don't know the guy. I don't. It's not like I want to see him fail, sort of thing. But I just think it would be the funniest thing in the world if Audley Harrison beat him. Again, it's the guy in Britain who's laughed at and thought of just as the bastard son of British boxing. No one wants anything. No one wants anything to do with him. No one wants to watch him fight. Everyone thinks he's just a big joke. And the big hype job from America comes over, it would just be great, wouldn't it? Sort of thing. Everyone would fall over laughing, and that's why I really hope it happens. I really do.
Audley might make a film of it if it happens. You know, it might be on the box office or something.
Destiny, the journey. Yeah. It's absolutely not over. If Audley knocks him out, Audley's gonna be screaming about Destiny and stuff like that, and if he knocks him out, then I'm going to be screaming up it's Destiny myself. Seriously.
So let's be honest, okay, right? Let's move away from Wilder for a second. If Audley wins it, where does he go from there?
Oh, I'm not sure as well. I thought if he beat Wilder, then the weight would be his oyster, sort of thing, because. Let's face it, if you want a title shot, it's not that hard to get it if you're a name, aren't you? Most fellas like Fury and Price, they could maybe get them, but they want to build themselves up to make sure that when they get the title shot, they win. If you want a title shot and you're not very good, there's a chance is the Klitschko's will probably pick you because they know you'll just beat you. And I thought if Audley beat Wilder and coming off prize fight, that he'd have all that momentum. Vladimir Klitschko might have a look at him. Maybe Klitschko or Povetkin, one of them would have a look at him and think, you know what, that'll be a decent payday for me, that, and it'll be piss easy to win, so I'll go fight him. But I looked on, I'm trying to think of the website's name, it has all the rankings, fighthype.com, and Wilder, he's ranked number 8 by the WBA, but he's not ranked anywhere, he's not ranked by anyone else, and I guess you can't rank him really, because of his...
Of course not.
Because of his record, but I thought he'd have a few good rankings, basically. It would get Audley in the rankings if he beat Wilder, but if Wilder's not ranked himself, then I'm not really sure. What do you think?
Well, love him or hate him, Audley's a name. He can sell a fight.
Exactly.
I mean, he could come to my house and sell me something I really don't want, and I'll buy it from him. I would.
He could sell sand to Arabs, couldn't he?
Of course.
Snow to Eskimos.
Yep. I mean, he really could. I mean, that's how much of a salesman he is. He's probably selling this fight really well himself right now. But he's been really quiet actually in the media, which is a good sign. Last time he was quiet like that, he destroyed everyone in Prize Fighter. But, I would like to see him maybe fight Povetkin or, find out who the number one is, the number one contender for the Povetkin fight. Try and get that title. Try and have a go at that one. I wouldn't say, I don't think he would have much of a chance against a Klitschko.
Oh yeah, of course not, no. What I was saying was maybe Klitschko, the Klitschko's are like, they don't...
Oh, of course, yeah. They might fight him, yeah. They might fight him.
They're even less embarrassed than Deontay Wilder, aren't they? So, again, they look at him and think, you know what, I fight him, that'll fill a stadium, and it'll be an easy night's work, I'll just have that. And if he beats Wilder, I thought, it's not that impossible. As crazy as it was after he got punched out by David Price, if you'd have said to me, Audley Harrison this time next year will be fighting for a world title, or will have fought for a world title, I'd have died laughing. I'd have rang the police, seriously, thinking there was something wrong with you. But again, if he beats Wilder now, it's not impossible. It's not beyond the realms of possibility, is it? He could get the phone call, couldn't he?
Definitely, I mean, it's definitely not impossible that he beats Wilder, and if he beats Wilder, what's Wilder gonna do? Have a rematch? That's the only thing he can do. Have a rematch.
I suppose so. Yeah, he could do a deal that Dale Price has got with Thompson and just say, "Oh, it was a fluke shot. I got caught." But again, if he lost, again, there's not much shame in losing to Tony Thompson. I don't think, even if he is at the end of his career. But if you lost to Audley Harrison, no matter how good he looks, if you lost to Audley Harrison, I think that would just scar his career. Like, I mean, he wouldn't be able to show his face in the boxing ring ever again if he lost to Audley.
Oh, he wouldn't be able to come over here at least. Oh no.
Oh yeah, maybe in America Golden Boy could maybe brush it under the carpet, but he'd never be able to come back over to England or maybe even Europe, because Audley's known in Europe, isn't he? He seems the European champion.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's another thing, I mean, what else would it be? I mean, like, let's say that, how am I trying to say this, right? Let's say, just hypothetically, Harrison did beat Wilder, yeah? And then he then doesn't have a rematch, he goes back into America, right? And fights a few, obscure opposition, and then they're going to try and rebuild him again, right? Now, Audley in that time says he wants his fight with David Price, and he gets sparked out again. Let's say this time inside 6 rounds, okay? He gets sparked out by David Price inside 6 rounds. It would still not be good for Deontay Wilder. The only way it'd be good for Deontay Wilder is if he really went up and got a world title shot. If he gets sparked out by someone who is still, sorry David, you're still at British level, it's just not going to look good for Deontay Wilder.
No, exactly, yeah. Again, though, we're chatting like Audley's already won the fight.
I mean, I'm going to be real. I don't expect him to win the fight. I'm going to put a $5 on him to win via knockout, and then I'll put a few other quid around just on a few of the early rounds so that I cover my money should what's-his-face Deontay Wilder win. So let's move on to Deontay then. Where do you think he'll go if/when he beats Audley Harrison?
Well, again, I know he wants to fight over here, and as sad as it sounds, Audley Harrison's his best opponent, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, and he's coming over here. Golden Boy are expanding into the UK, aren't they? And they're trying to get some of their fighters known over here, and Deontay Wilder's one of them. But I looked at it the other day and thought, okay, Audley's his best opponent, but if he beats Audley, kind of, apart from becoming known in the UK, would that really get him anywhere in the rankings? I don't think Audley's ranked by anyone. No one takes Audley seriously, do they?
No.
So even if he does punch out Audley really quick, everyone's just going to say, well, David Price done that. David Hay done that. A load of other guys have beat Audley Harrison, sort of thing. And Audley Harrison's old right now. It'll be a kind of, if you beat him, Deontay Wilder, you still won't improve much, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the other question is, does he go back down from Audley Harrison, or does he go up in terms of levels of opposition? That's, I mean, if he was to fight again in the UK, would it be against someone like Derek Chisora or someone like Sam Sexton?
Yeah, it's a good point. I didn't think of that, to be honest. Derek Chisora, I think that's a very, very realistic option because they want to build Derek Chisora back up, don't they? Frank Warren wants to get him going again.
Yeah.
He didn't look that. He didn't set the world on fire the other night, did he? So
no.
He needs a couple of confidence boosting fights, doesn't he? And maybe if Deontay Wilder beats Audley and they're looking for another kind of known name to get on his record, and I suppose he could call up Frank Warren and say, does Derek Chisora fancy it? And Derek Chisora could go, you know what, he's got a load of momentum, Deontay Wilder's a name, I'll just fight him and get him on my record and get my confidence back up. I think that's a really, really good suggestion, to be honest.
Thanks. That'll be a good fight for both fighters, really.
It would be, yeah.
I can see a good reason why Deontay would want to do it because he could put his name up there with world champions who have beaten him.
Yeah.
And then, Derek would like to take the fight because he could, try and, demolish Deontay just like he demolished Robert Helenius.
Yeah.
Other than that, there are other good fights out there. I don't think he's going to end up fighting David Price or Fury anytime soon. I think politics will get in the way of that.
Yeah.
But other than that, maybe he should look to fight someone like Amir Mansour or, it depends what would happen with the loser of Chris Arreola versus Bermain Stavern. That'll be a good one for him too. That'll be a real step up for him. Or someone like Chagayev. Chagayev, that'll be a step up too, but he'll have every attribute under the sun going for him there in that fight. That'll be a good fight for him though.
Maybe Steve Cunningham?
Steve Cunningham, yeah. He's definitely there. He might need a victory under his belt. I understand I definitely agree that he beat Adamek, but, it's on paper it says you lost. People just look at paper and look at it as fact. So, he probably wants to get a victory under his belt before he takes on a big name again. And, that'll be a good fight. It depends how he would go about that fight. If he fights it similar to how Tyson Fury did, he fought Tyson Fury, then he would have a good chance, let's be real, Wilder doesn't have the same attributes as Fury. He doesn't have another, 40 pound that Fury had to just lean on him. So it'll be a different style the way they would approach the fight. But I'd like to see if and how that Wilder could deal with the speed of Cunningham.
How big's Wilder? Is he 6'5", 6'6"?
Yeah, I think he's around that size. Yeah, 6'5" or 6'6".
He's a big guy, yeah, but he'd be a lot bigger than Cunningham still, wouldn't
he? Yeah. Cunningham looked small. Well,
he did, yeah.
Yeah, he looked really small against Fury, and and then the extra size difference in terms of just body weight, that was just too much for the lad.
I know, yeah. There aren't many guys who are going to beat a fella who's 3 stone and, I don't know, 7 inches bigger than him.
Of course, it's a guy who was, basically 3 or 4, weight divisions above him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter how good they are, you'd have to be a master boxer, to beat someone who's 3 or 4 weight limits above you. Let's be real. Let's be really real. If Floyd Mayweather got in the ring, tomorrow with Bad Chad Dawson,
yeah.
Sorry, Floyd. I know you're a great fighter, but I don't really rate your chances there, mate.
Yeah. We'll go on to that now. Canelo Alvarez against Austin Trout. You've watched it, haven't you?
Yeah, a lot of people thought it was, a controversial decision. I didn't. I really didn't. No. I was really impressed with Canelo at times. I'll go through how I saw it. At first, there was a lot of close rounds in there, obviously. Trout missed a lot of his punches. He threw a lot of leather in terms of jabs, but not many of them were scoring shots. A lot of people, I think a lot of people just scored in for, punches thrown.
Aggression, yeah.
Yeah, just aggression, but they didn't really tag him that much. Canelo at times was out jabbing him. Canelo was good on the counter, and I thought it was Trout that was supposed to be good on the counter. The way I built it up on my prediction was that Trout's going to try and really counter him to death. Nope, did not happen. There was times when both guys couldn't really land the glove on each other, but a lot of the punches that, Canelo threw, the counter shots that did miss, they all landed on the chest of Trout, which is still a body shot, so it was still a scoring punch.
Yeah.
So, I didn't find it, totally controversial. I saw it 1 or 2 points towards Canelo. That's it. I didn't see what one of the other ones did. Chris Evangelopoulou, whatever his name is. He had it like 8 or 9 points. That was just pathetic. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of kind of YouTube channels who all say that Trout won it by maybe a couple, but from what I'm reading, I haven't seen the fight out. I haven't to get round to it. I've seen bits of it, but I haven't watched it all the way through and scored it. A lot of people said there was a lot of rounds where, especially in the second half, where Canelo maybe wasn't doing anything, and Trout was maybe hitting him with tippy-tappy punches, sort of thing, punches that weren't hurting him, but they were scoring.
Yeah.
In anyway, sort of thing. Is that what happened?
That's pretty much what happened. The main difference would be, the way around that Canelo definitely did win. I mean, some of the commentating was a bit pathetic. I mean, a lot of people gave, the round with the knockdown a 10-9 round, suggesting that Trout, dominated the round. But I definitely didn't see that. I mean, I saw the guy who literally, who looked like I'm sorry, but he looked punch drunk when he got landed on and went down. And then he got up and he definitely didn't, he lost at least 2 minutes of the round without the knockdown. So I didn't see him dominate a thing, I mean, so there were some people, a lot of people wanted Austin Trout to win, let's be real. A lot of people wanted Austin Trout to win, and, he didn't perform very well. Even he said he lost at the end of the day. So, I'm happy to say, Canelo, you did good in that fight. You did good. He did good.
One of the scorecards was, what was it, 118, 109 to Canelo?
Oh, no, I didn't see that. I definitely did not see that, and I don't know what he was watching.
I think a couple of people are maybe... Canelo won, but a couple of people are kind of jumping on that as an excuse to say, see, I told you, the judges are biased, People are trying to use that as an excuse. But
the only thing I'll stop you there and say, we all knew the judges were biased in Texas.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a big Mexico state, isn't it? Yeah.
Of course, there was 90 odd percent of the people there were there for Canelo. Once again, Austin Trout knew what he was getting into. He was saying it all the time in the news. He had to dominate the fight. He did not do that. He did not do that at all. Now it's sad that we have to say, Austin Trout had to dominate the fight, but I've seen it before with British fighters. Darren Barker had a really good fight with Sergio Martinez, and he wasn't winning on the scorecards, but he gave a great fight. You know what I mean? You did a good fight, Trout, but you didn't win. I didn't think.
Again, I think it's people trying to make an issue out of something that's not there, really, isn't it? They're trying to use that wide scorecard as an excuse to try and say, that proves that if maybe if Trout would have won or deserved to have won, he wouldn't have given it. Well, no, not really. You can't say that, can you?
No, I mean,
I don't really believe this whole thing either. That Trout was up against it before he went in, because he has Al Heyman as his manager, doesn't he? And he's Floyd Mayweather's manager, and he's got a lot of say. That guy, hasn't he? He's not going to let one of his fighters get ripped off, or massively ripped off, is he? At the end of the day, so.
No, I mean, I think that's a good point. That's a very good point. I didn't. Once you watch the whole fight and you see that it was a close fight, a lot of the rounds were close. Even if the judges were swayed by the 90% for Canelo ratio, you can't really blame them because the rounds were really close. Yeah. There was another thing. A lot of there was no doubt who was controlling the fight, and it was not Trout.
Yeah.
There was no doubt who was controlling it. After a few of the rounds, Trout was really, he looked afraid of the power shot. Especially after the knockdown, he was physically afraid. He looked physically afraid to me. That might have come across in the scorecards as well. But I knew he won that fight, and I didn't see Trout win that fight. I wouldn't have mind seeing Trout win that fight, but I've gone on against Trout, gone on against Canelo, but I thought Canelo's scraped it. I don't think it was it was definitely not a robbery. No, didn't see that.
To be honest, I'd be scared of Canelo as well. To be honest, 'cause he came in. What was it? 172 pounds. That's a light heavyweight. That's massive.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is.
Yeah.
That's a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight he's put on.
I know,
And he's a big puncher too. I mean, maybe that's an issue that he's got, stamina. But
yeah, because again, that was going back to what I said. A lot of people said the second half of the fight, he looked a bit, he looked tired, and he looked like he was standing in his shoes, and he wasn't doing anything. Maybe they were using him. They were using that as an excuse to maybe score the round for Trout when he maybe didn't deserve it, because he wasn't really doing anything himself.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, like I said, once you watch the fight and you, I mean, if you look closely at the punches that were scored, the punches that were definitely landing punches, there wasn't much in it. I mean, if you take another thing, people were saying, I mean, here we go. People are not very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for a word, what mean? They're not consistent, okay? That's the word.
Yeah.
They're not consistent, People were jumping up and down saying how badly what's-his-face, Tony Bellew lost to Chilemba because Chilemba made him miss and made him pay, right? But, I didn't think that. I didn't think that Chilemba, made him pay badly or, enough. Bellew did throw more punches, but then again, same as he didn't really, land that many himself. Trout didn't land that many punches, and he missed a lot of punches. Canelo done a much better job than, Chilemba did. He was good on the counter. He was good, boxing. He, showboated a bit too, and he said there's that point where he was even given the impression to Trout. He was like, Trout, look, I can box too. You can't land on me now, and it was true. He couldn't do it. So, that's what it came down to, I think. At the end of the day, people aren't that consistent who are scoring fights. People sometimes want a certain person to win over someone else, and it just lets, sometimes you've just got to go with the judges, They get paid to do their job, don't they? I mean, two out of three were really good that night. The other one, nah.
Yeah. It goes back to a thing of maybe he didn't do enough to take the argument away, but it doesn't mean he doesn't deserve to win, sort of thing. So yeah, and he came in massive at the weight, and there's a lot of people saying now he should fight Floyd Mayweather. I said on Twitter, I think those people are crazy. To be honest, they're crazy for thinking Floyd Mayweather is crazy, because I think Floyd Mayweather would be crazy to accept that now. He's huge, and Floyd Mayweather himself is not big at junior middleweight. He's a natural welterweight. He comes in. He comes
spot
in.
on the way, yeah.
Yeah, he's from spot on the way. He eats, he eats fast food, and he still makes the weight, doesn't he?
Yeah,
He's not, he doesn't blow up in between fights, sort of thing. He doesn't go any more than 150, something like that. And if they think he should step up to, because I remember when he weighed in against Cotto, he was pretty much a welterweight in that fight, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That's exactly what he was. Yeah.
And if a welterweight, it goes back to what you were saying if he fought Chad Dawson. If a welterweight, no matter how good he is, fights a light heavyweight, chances are he's not going to win, is he? So I don't get why a lot of people saying, oh, he's a chicken for not fighting Canelo Alvarez. He's avoiding. To be honest, I don't blame him, because the guy's fucking huge. It would be a massively, massively unfair sort of thing, unless Canelo Alvarez wants to come down to 147 and can't stay around that weight, which I don't think is physically possible. So I think he's probably going to move up to middleweight himself soon, because again, I think he might be a bit weight drained. If he goes up to, I don't think there's a place in the middle that they can meet, sort of thing, and it'd be fair. Because if Floyd Mayweather goes up to 154 to fight him, he's still going to be dwarfed in size, and he's going to be pushed around and bullied. And I don't think there's enough. Floyd Mayweather is stupid enough to take that sort of thing.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, you love Floyd or you hate Floyd. He's a smart guy, and he's not going to take that fight. I mean, and like I said, let me show how. I mean, I'm not being biased. I'm not saying he's a chicken. I wouldn't take that fight. If it was me, I wouldn't take that fight. I mean, you're basically asking him to almost get a kick in. I mean, Floyd's a brilliant fighter, like we have said. He is a brilliant fighter. Probably one of the, if not the fighter of our decade, the fighter of the decade, or one of the top 2 or 3. You know what I mean? The only other guys who can certainly say they can match him are people like, Bernard Hopkins, people like that. Real grandmasters of the sport. He's not going to take a fight like that, because and I mean, he's not any bigger than 147. I don't think he comes in over 147 really. I mean, he's got to eat loads to maintain that weight.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to do it. Even if he, people always say like he doesn't fight that well at 154, and obviously that's because he's getting bullied around, and he can't make the weight properly. He cannot make the weight properly. I don't want to see Canelo come down because, I mean, Floyd won't get the props for beating Canelo if they come down to 147 because he'll be more weight drained than he is now, and he's probably weight drained right now. What I mean? So no, it's best they just go their own separate ways, and then people debate whether Floyd would have beat or not beat Canelo if they did fight. And there's no real answer to that. But if they fought tomorrow, I'll put a little bit of money on Canelo to win by knockout.
Yeah, again, it's Floyd Mayweather. He can't be blamed. I don't think at all for not taking that.
Exactly, he cannot be blamed.
Yeah.
Fight people in your own division.
Yeah, you can maybe have a go at him for not fighting Pacquiao, saying he threw up a load of roadblocks, but some of the criticism is justified. But in this case, again, you've not got a bullet to shoot him with because he can't be expected to fight a guy who comes in at a light heavyweight. He'd get beaten up. It would be like if Andre Ward said he wasn't going to fight Tyson Fury. Like I don't blame him for not fight Tyson Fury. He's huge. Mm-hmm. So I think you can't expect a guy, no matter how good he is, to beat someone who is far bigger than him. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good, it doesn't matter how strong an ant is. He's not going to survive when a big boot stamps on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's talking about Andre Ward. Did you read that he said on Twitter to Floyd Mayweather that he said eat some steaks, come up to 160, and I'll beat the shit out of you, and he'll beat him up instead.
Did he actually say that?
He said that, yeah. He said that because Floyd was having a go at him.
I know he had a go at him, but Andre Ward's normally done as fuck, isn't he? He's a list that I go to church and I love my kids and I love my wife and I'd never say anything nasty about anyone.
Yeah, he said I'll meet you at 160, eat some steaks, and like.
I liken that, yeah, because again, Andre Ward getting a bit fired up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it would never happen, but.
Yeah, again, he's being playful though, isn't he? He's being colourful, and that's something he's accused of not being.
He's definitely not.
Yeah, everyone's accused of. He's just boring, and he doesn't say anything about anyone. It's good to see him kind of come out the box a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, he's sticking up for his mate Guerrero, isn't he? So,
that.
So we'll see how it goes down, but I don't expect anything to come of that. 100%.
Yeah, they're not gonna fight each other in a million years. It doesn't matter how much money. Oscar De La Hoya throws in his face because Floyd doesn't need money now. Floyd's got the Showtime deal, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he probably won't fight it all. I don't expect him to fight it all. I think he'll take one or two fights. Nah,
yeah.
You mean...
He keeps saying he will, but do you think he's just trying to get the pennies up?
Yeah, I mean, there'll be no point. I mean, there's no one... look at it now. There's no one to fight. Who's left to fight? I mean, what's worse? He can actually hurt his resume even more by, fighting people who he shouldn't be fighting. I mean, I'll give you an example. He can fight, he's fighting Guerrero now. Who's he going to fight next? I mean, who's the WBC number 2? Amir Khan. Do you want to see him fight Amir Khan next? No. Do you want to see him fight Manny Pacquiao now? Not really. Now that that fight's pretty much ruined for me.
Yeah, it wouldn't mean anything, would it?
No. Would you want to see him fight Timothy Bradley? Probably, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that fight, but Top Rank probably won't let it happen. Then there's Devon Alexander. So up to now we've got 3 guys. It's not going to happen.
I'd rather trim my nails than watch that, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So, Marquez, he's fought him and beat him up already, hasn't he?
No point in that, yeah.
No point in that. I'm trying. Again, you're running the town.
Miguel Cotto. Any point in a rematch?
Point in. Kel Brook.
No point in that match, in my opinion.
No point in that.
Sorry, Kel. Sorry, Kel.
Kel would bite your hands off for that, but no point in that. No, again, yeah, it's a really, really good point. That I think he'll fight Guerrero, and do you think maybe he might have one more after that?
Maybe we'll see. We'll see what Amir. I mean, maybe there might be two more. He'll probably. Yeah. I mean, I don't expect him to be good fights. You know what I mean? It'd be someone like Devon Alexander. I'm thinking Devon Alexander. He's the only one who's, really there You
know, got to get past Lee Purdy first, though.
We can talk about that next if you want.
If you want to, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they will take all 10 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, no, yeah. So Devon Alexander, maybe if that Amir Khan next. They're the only two I can think of. I mean, who's at 140 you could come up? Matisse? No.
No, I think he wants to. He's staying at 140 for now. Garcia.
Too small.
Too small. I'd like to see that fight though, just to see Angel Garcia have a go with Floyd.
That would be good. Actually, that would be.
I would rather watch Angel Garcia and Floyd Mayweather Senior fight than Danny and Floyd. Just lock them in a room and just let them beat the fuck out of each other. Yeah. Like that, yeah.
That would be cool. Yeah, I mean, I might just watch the HBO 24/7 then, and then just not watch the fight because I know who's going to win anyway. You know. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Other than that, no, Lamont Peterson, no, too controversial. Won't fight him.
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone else who's really relevant in the division.
I think the only real shout is Tim Bradley, and that would only be if Top Rank let him, and I don't think chances are he wouldn't.
No, there'll be no point. Brandon Rios. No.
No, he's a light welterweight, isn't he?
Yeah, light welterweight, Top Rank. See, everything's against him. It won't work. He'll do two. We'll be lucky to get 2 more out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Or he might, really pad it out with some really wank fighters like, Miguel Cotto coming back for another big try. Oh, please, no. Someone's like that. People like that. Maybe another fight against, what's that person's name?
Marquez.
Yeah, Marquez. Maybe Marquez.
I think that fight would be a bit different because Marquez is better now, but I still don't think he'd win. Because when he fought Floyd the first time, he didn't make the weights properly at all, did he?
Yeah.
He was a lightweight. It was like what Canelo and Floyd. It was a lightweight fight in a welterweight, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was actually a fat lightweight.
He was fleshy, wasn't he? Yeah. I know he's got a load of new muscles now. I don't want to say how he's got them, because I don't know. But again, if the Marquez who fought Pacquiao fought Mayweather, it would be a lot closer than the original one. But I'd still go with Mayweather because he would nip Mayweather with the shot he hit Pacquiao with, would he? So.
No, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. So, yeah, that would be the only reason that I'd like to see it, just because now he is a genuine, no, I wouldn't even call him that. He's like a light welterweight now, so.
He could make the weight, basically.
Yeah, he could make the weight better, but, yeah, other than that, no point. I don't see anything different happening.
Yeah, so. I had another one in the head. I'm trying to think of it.
Lee Purdy now, come on.
Oh yeah,
we're going straight to Lee Purdy now.
All right,
you said it.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, you said it would take 10 seconds. I don't think he's going to win, but I don't think it's absolutely awful, like some people are saying. Some people are saying like, oh, it's an absolute waste of time. There's no point. Oh, it's a crap fight. All right, it's not Kell Brook like we all wanted, but I'd much rather it was Lee Purdy than it was some guy from Eastern Europe who's just going to come for money and not even try. And as a guy who's like, what's he called? He's like a Polish fella. He fought Kell Brook last year. He was Yakovic or something like that. I can't say his name. It begins with a J. He fought Kell Brook last year, and he was ranked above Purdy in the rankings. I was like, oh come on, there's no way he should fight Alexander. He should get, because he got blown away. Purdy, I think, is the best of a bad bunch, Billy. He's got to make a mandatory to keep the belt. He said he wants to keep the belt, so he's going to have to fight someone, and Purdy is basically the best polished turd. Well, maybe that's a bit harsh, but he's the best one. So.
Well, what about Carson Jones?
Carson Jones, I'm not really sure to make the Carson Jones.
No, let me make my case, because I would give it to Carson Jones. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
The way I look at it, he almost got a draw with Kell Brook.
Yeah.
Close but no cigar. He was number 2 at that point, in my opinion. So he should have been, brought forward to fight him.
Yeah.
Lee Purdy, you like him or you don't like him. He's very one-dimensional. He's very big for the weight. That's very good. That's his only good thing. He's very big for the weight, and he's got he's got a bit of a punch, but he doesn't throw a lot of leather. He just plods you down. He's tailor-made for Devon Alexander, and I'm looking at either a heavy unanimous decision or maybe even a stoppage.
He's not, like you said, he's big at the weight Perry, isn't he? And I don't think Alexander's much of a puncher, does he? He's more of a technician, isn't he? So I'd go with a wide unanimous decision. But going back to Carson Jones, I think maybe the reason he didn't get it was because he fought a few months ago, didn't he?
Oh yeah, and he didn't look too good then either.
He was going to fight. He was going to fight Lee Perry, but Lee Perry pulled out, and he ended up fighting some Irish guy who nobody's ever heard of, and in an 8-rounder, but he didn't look very good. He got a draw, but apparently he didn't deserve it. But again, maybe a lot of people just said it's a case of, oh, he wasn't up for it. Perry pulled out the last minute. Jones just wanted to go home, basically, and that's fair enough. But there was also a lot of people saying, oh, Jones is no good. This shows that Kell Brook's not all that if he nearly got beat by this fella. So I think maybe the IBF maybe read into that draw and thought, all right, maybe Carson Jones isn't all that. So
true, yeah, maybe that's the case. There's probably other good people that you could have faced. The only thing, I mean, you know, like you said, that's, you know, an Eastern European just going over there to get paid. That's all I see Lee Perry going to do. I don't see him doing anything. I really don't see him doing much in that fight. I mean, the odds are going to be so wide on that fight. You know, it's not going to be worth betting on.
Yeah, it's going to be another Gavin Rees, bro. He's going to have a go. He's going to have a good go. We'll go over and give him a clap. But he's going to get outclassed.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good way to put it. It's another Gavin Rees style fight, yeah. But maybe without the stoppage.
Yeah, because Alexander's not much of a puncher, and Perry's very, very big with the weight. Perry does a bodybuilding course, I think.
Does he?
Well, I don't know if that's true. I just read that on Twitter once. And that's why he's very, very big at the weight, and everyone's saying it's a really stupid thing to do, to put on a load of muscle. I don't know if that's... I don't know why I'm talking about these muscles. That's how late it is. No.
Well, you know, yeah, I mean, if that's the case... No, I don't think that's a bad thing for him. I mean...
Bulking up, yeah.
Yeah, it sort of works for him, and he can, you know, outpunch his people, which he does do, you know, so maybe it works for him domestically. Whenever he's moved forward, I mean, like, in his last fight, I mean, let's be honest, he didn't really impress in his last fight either.
No.
Against the Mexican guy. You know.
It was another example of what happened to Carson Jones, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sapolsky pulled out the last minute, and in his head he couldn't be asked, but he didn't want to pull out because he didn't want to let Eddie Hearn down, because he promised he'd go on a fight. But if he'd have been given the chance, he'd have just took his money and gone home.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, yeah, looking at Devin Alexander, where does he go from here? You know, is he going to be forced to fight Kell Brook or not?
I'd like it if he fought Kell Brook, but to be honest, I don't think we can have it both ways. I think Kell Brook might have missed his chance.
Yeah.
You know, I feel bad for Kell Brook. I'm a Kell Brook fan, but let's face it, if it was a British fellow who was the world champion, and it was some guy, some foreigner, because the Americans don't know Kell Brook, do they?
No.
If it was some guy who we've never heard of, who was a mandatory challenger for our champion, and he pulled out twice, then we'd be saying, oh, come on, you know, get rid of him now, forget him, he's had his chance, he's blown it. You can't have it both ways, really. Kell Brook, I think, I personally felt he beat Alexander, but again, maybe in the long run, not fighting Alexander will be a blessing in disguise, because again, he might have been just completely outboxed because Alexander was too slippery and too awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he'd have lost to Alexander, a lot of people would have said he was crap and he's not good enough to be world level, and that might not have been fair, because Alexander is just a really, really hard guy to pin down. It's hard to look good against Alexander, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, exactly, yeah.
Especially if you don't beat him. So maybe not fighting Alexander and not taking the risk of losing is maybe blessing in disguise, because Broner's going to fight Malignaggi for the WBA, isn't he?
Yeah, he probably won't defend that title.
Yeah, he's going to go. I assume he's going to beat Malignaggi, even if by stepping up. He'll beat Malignaggi, he'll vacate and move back down, and maybe that belt will become vacant. Maybe Kell Brook should just scratch the IBF and Alexander now, and maybe go after Dan instead. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good idea. You know, I mean, I'll do that. There's only a few other... The only, you know, downside to that is that, you know, the WBA do have a lot of savages waiting in the ranks to really try and take over when
You'd have to get in the queue.
Paulie, you know, mans up and takes a good fight, in which he has done here against Broner, which he'll lose. But, you know, Broner won't like defend it against the mandatory anyone like that. Yeah, the other guy I'd like him to fight would be, you know, the guy that Matthew Hatton fought recently? Is it Van Heeven? Or
South African guy?
Yeah. Try and take that title, maybe. It's not a world recognised title, but, you know, it's better than nothing.
I suppose, yeah.
Take that, defend it once or twice at home. Try and trade it in for a WBA title. Might be worth doing.
I think that would have been a good thing for him to do maybe a year ago. But I think he's at the point now where he wants a full world title or he wants nothing. Maybe. So if he was offered that, he'd probably say, "Oh, I'm above that now." Because I think if he fought that South African guy, I think he'd absolutely destroy him. I thought Matthew Hatton would go there and beat the fella, but Matthew Hatton, I think, looked really, really bad in that fight. I kind of felt sorry for him because I felt at one point in his career he could have beat him if Matthew Hatton, who went 12 rounds with Alvarez, had gone over to South Africa, I think he would have beat that guy no problem.
True.
And because that guy's Chris Van der Heeren, I can't say his name.
That's correct.
But, yeah. He didn't look all that to me.
No.
The only thing worse than him was the guy singing "Eye of the Tiger" at the start. Do you remember that?
Yeah. And the commentator, he said it's been hard. He was like, it's been very hard for. This is my South African accent, by the way. Right. It's been very hard for Matthew. Growing up in London. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Growing up as a carpet fitter in London. No, mate. Manchester.
Yeah.
If
he fought for the IBO title, I don't think it wouldn't get him what he wants, really, would it? If he'd fought for that maybe a year and a half ago when he was still building himself up, then yeah, fair enough. But I think he's at the point now where he thinks he's above all that sort of thing. And to be fair, I think he's above all that. That IBO belt, it's a good piece of jewellery. It doesn't mean anything, does it? At the end of the day. And he doesn't want it to be a piece of jewellery. He wants it to be the champion. And if he wins that, no one's going to look at him as anything special, are they?
No.
So.
Yeah, I mean, my theory behind it was, it'll be a good fight for him to take. He can win it, and then if he defends it a few times, he may be able to, unify against someone who he wants to. But I mean,
I can see that. Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, the only other route for him is the WBA. I mean, there's a lot of routes that are, politically just going against him. Who's the WBC champion? Mayweather. No point going down that route. WBO champion is who is it now? Bradley / Marquez / Pacquiao.
Yeah. Marquez has got the super duper mega universe title, whatever it's called.
Yeah. Either way, you're only going to get a fight for that title if you're with Top Rank, and if you're not with Top Rank and get a fight for that title, you're not going to get a decision. So there's no point fighting that one.
Yeah.
Other than that, nah. Maybe if he moved up, struggling at the weight, moved up in weight, he could have a good run there. Maybe the IBF title against Ishe Smith, because I don't really rate him too much.
Is that the guy for Contender?
Yeah,
I knew I'd heard that name somewhere.
Yeah, and he fought K9, didn't he?
Yeah, that was recently, wasn't he? He won a decision, I think.
Yeah, won a decision. Yeah, K9 wants a rematch.
That'll probably happen, to be honest, because I don't think Ishe Smith's going to want to fight Canelo or Trout, is he? So.
No, the only problem would be it's a stacked division that now. There's a lot of good guys in that division. Trout, Pero, who's fighting Lara. So.
Yeah, I think for Kell Brook it would be best going for the WBA. See if Eddie Hearn can kind of swing on it, sort of thing. Because I know there's a big queue for that belt, isn't it? But I hope he gets his fight with Alexander. I really do, because he deserves it. But he can't count his chickens, sort of thing. If the IBF turn around and say no, you've had your chance and you've blown it, then I don't really think I can make any excuses for him. To be honest.
Of course,
he can't count his chickens. The Alexander fight, I think he has to treat that as if it's gone. If they do ring him up and say, yeah, you can still have it and he's still mandatory challenger, then great. But if he doesn't get it, then alright, you have to accept it and go somewhere else.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's talk about it as if it is on for a minute. I mean,
okay.
How do you rate, Kell's chances in that fight?
I like Kell Brook a lot. I honestly think he could knock Alexander out. I know Alexander is very, very slippery and he's hard to pin down. But we've seen him beat by Bradley. Alright, Kell Brook's no Bradley, but we've seen that he can be hurt, that he can be kind of bullied and bossed. I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility. I fancied it. It's one of those fights, where you just think in your stomach, yeah, I think he can win that, sort of thing. I really felt it was his time, sort of thing. If he'd have fought him a year ago, then no, he'd have been outboxed. But it goes back to what I was saying, why he shouldn't fight for the IBO belt. I kind of feel like he's at that level now. If he doesn't do it now, then he's never going to do it, sort of thing. So he's got to make the step up. And if he can't make the step up, fair enough, but he's got to at least try. But I think from watching him, if he's on full form, he can make the step up because Alexander is not a puncher. I don't think he'd knock Kell Brook out. He could, if he did beat Kell Brook, I think it'd be because he'd outbox him. And I know there's a lot of people, if not most people, think that's going to happen. But I think people are really misunderestimating Kell. I think he's probably stronger than Alexander in the sense that he can get up against the ropes, he can bully him, and it just goes like that. It's just one of those fights where I don't think Alexander's all that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think it was going to be a controversial fight either way. You know, I mean, Devin, you know, it was going to be in DC. You know, last person who went to DC, you know, from over here didn't get a very good shake on the cards.
And so to Detroit, wasn't it, in some shed?
Yeah, I mean
that got called off. Then it was going to be on. I'm trying to think now. It was going to be somewhere else. I think maybe Las Vegas, and then it got pulled out when Alexander supposedly hurt his arm.
Yeah, he didn't hit his arm then.
No,
I saw what happened then, right? And this is what happened because he was. I saw the picture of Kell Brook, and he was cut up. I mean, like he was in the next level fitness. He was ready. I looked at him, and you know, he looked like he was really ready for war and stuff. You know, ready to go in there and win. And I saw the picture of Devin Alexander, and he didn't look in near the shape that he was in for the Maidana fight. He didn't look in. He looked like he really underestimated him.
Yeah, so
I think someone told him, look, mate, it's not going to be that easy. And they just, they called it, I've got a torn bicep, and he didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have his arm in the sling or nothing, so he definitely didn't have a torn bicep.
So it's not dress it up. Basically, you think his arse fell out. Basically, he saw what was going on. He thought Kell Brook was just some bum.
Yeah.
He was going to outbox, and then when he someone either took him aside or he saw the videos of him and thought, hang on, this fella's actually quite good here. He just invented the story.
Yeah, I think it does happen. It really does happen.
Yeah.
So I think that was the case there. I mean, yeah, that's what I think happened. And then, it might even have happened with Kell Brook at the, just recently. Maybe he wasn't training or he wasn't hitting his,
Yeah, I thought that because he was on ringside and he looked massive, didn't he?
Yeah, maybe he wasn't
very big.
Maybe he wasn't hitting what he was supposed to be doing. The times, the targets, and when you did have a foot injury last time. We're giving you you've got another foot injury now. But you can't have it. And he's not come out and said anything since. So maybe that is the case.
Yeah, not saying it is, but again, there's been nothing to suggest it's not. It? So
exactly.
Again, it's all fairies, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing of this fight was it all depended on where the fight was going to be before. Really, I mean, we seen the thing about Devin is he looks really good. If he's fighting, facing a certain type of fighter. The Arangos, the Maidanas, those fighters like that. He can really look good against. Now, it seems to me that against boxers, he doesn't half look shit against them. I mean, Andrei Kotelnik, love the guy, hate the guy. I didn't think he was that good, really, but he won a lot of rounds, at least 9 rounds against Devin Alexander in their fight, and he obviously lost the fight on points. And even the judge, the commentator was like, I don't know what's just happened here, but
he's got lucky against
the win. Yeah, got lucky against Matisse too.
Yeah.
Everyone jumps up and down and says Matisse was a bad robbery. Well, if you think that's a bad robbery, you haven't watched the Kotelnik fight, I can tell you that, because that was worse. And then obviously against Bradley, he got once again outboxed, outmuscled, outfought. So
yeah, that's what I thought would happen with Kell Brook. I think Alexander's good, but I didn't believe he was so untouchable. Like a lot of people were making out he was.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that Kell Brook has is that what Kotelnik could do, but Kell could do better was jab. Kotelnik had a good jab. Kell's got an even better, more accurate jab. That would have been another issue for him. Maybe that's one of the reasons why Devin's team didn't really fancy it. That's what I think. He was going to drop the title, the IBF title. I mean, he said himself he'll throw it in the bin if he has to fight in the UK. Now, why is that? I mean, do you not like the UK or something? Do you not think you're going to get a fair shake? Because I don't know. I mean, I don't see. I can't remember the last time someone got absolutely, purely, totally robbed in the UK. I mean, disgustingly robbed. But I can tell you the last time someone did that in the USA.
Exactly, yeah. I don't understand why he didn't come to the UK as well, to be honest. Alright, despite he thinks he's not going to get a decision, but again, if he thinks he's that much better than Kell Brook, then surely he doesn't have to worry about that.
Exactly.
Alright, I can understand if him and Kell Brook were kind of similar, and it was one of those fights, he knew it would be a fight where there's only be 1 or 2 rounds in it, then I can understand that, but if it was the type of fight which he and his team were making out like it was going to be, where he boxed Kell Brook's head off and Kell Brook wouldn't win a round, then kind of what's he got to worry about, sort of thing. The fight would make a lot more money here than it would be doing in the US, anywhere in the US, because Sky built it up for ages. Kell Brook's kind of becoming well known in the UK, or at least he's well known in Sheffield, which is where the fight would be. It would make a load of money, and it would get a load of kind of hype on. It would be all over the Sky Sports sort of thing. They'd have them on the Sky Sports studio interviewing them. It would just be better, be a better experience for both of them.
Well, exactly, and I mean, I don't know if you've noticed this, but a lot of people don't really know that, Devin Alexander is sort of his own boss. He's got his own promotional company, the Great Promotions. So he had to go into, work with, what's-his-face, Golden Boy Promotions, and say to them, you give us the money, you buy the thing. So basically, it was going to be Golden Boy putting up all the money for this fight, and they're going to be 2 people eating into it, the Great Promotions and obviously Matchroom. So either way, Golden Boy were losing money, on that fight. Or when I say losing money, they weren't making loads. So it was going to be one of those fights. I could always tell it's going to be one of those fights.
One of those fights Golden Boy don't care about. Yeah.
They needed it over there because it was going to be a close fight. I could tell. I actually knew.
Yeah.
Once I don't like it, but if it's a close fight in America, the American will get it.
Yeah.
Again,
it goes back to the thing of, if Alexander's so much better than Brook, like he thinks he is, or like I've heard him say he is, because he's called Brook one-dimensional and all that, then kind of what's he got to worry about, sort of thing.
Exactly.
If he thinks he's going to completely outclass Kell Brook, then he doesn't have to worry about holding down the decision. It's not like a case of, if he won every round, he'd still get ripped off. But I don't think that would happen. I can't remember the last time it happened in the UK, like you said. There's been a couple of fights where, alright, maybe one of our guys has been lucky, sort of thing, like, alright, maybe he's lost by a round or 2, or he's got a draw that he didn't deserve, and he's kind of got out of it. But I haven't seen the last time, I can't remember the last time a fighter lost, and everyone went, you know what, that guy just took the British fella to school, they took him to school, and he got beat. I know a lot of people like to say, oh, Bellew got lucky, but again, no, come on.
No, Chilemba didn't look like... Yeah. Chilemba didn't want to win the fight himself. Granted, Bellew didn't win the fight. The draw was pretty much a safe bet there. You know what I mean?
Both guys lost
if you compare that fight to Rios versus, Abril. Abril. There's only one contender for robbery. Even Pacquiao, Bradley, compare that to, Bellew, Chilemba. Once again, you know which one's the robbery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm a firm believer in you should fight where the money is, basically, and the money's not in America. The money's over in the UK. It's just like he won't come to the UK because I think he's more worried about Kell Brook and he's letting on.
Exactly. He really was. Yeah. Yeah. So good to see where them 2 guys go from there, but we don't really know yet.
I'll get to the point. Yes or no? Do you think that fight will happen?
No.
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 So do you think Kell Brook will win a world title?
Yeah, I think he's good enough. He would need good promoting to get him up there. If he's meant to face a load of hard guys. You see, this is what people don't understand. Some people have it really easy. Some people have it really hard. Kell's, he's had it really easy at times, and now he's having it really hard. I mean, like, extra hard. He'll have to, really, not get matched against all the savages, or pick his savages, in the WBA rankings, carefully, and, beat them well. Because that's one of the things the WBA do. They don't mess around when it comes to, mandatories. If they pick a mandatory, 9 times out of 10 he's a savage. Mm-hmm. an absolute savage coming in the ring.
Yeah, so again, it goes back to a thing of if he's lost, if he keeps his mandatory, then all right, good for you, Kel, let's do it. But if he hasn't, then oh well, let's get on with it. You can't moan.
Move on.
Yeah. So yeah, so, is there any other fights you could think of that come to mind?
Yeah, I mean Amir Khan versus Julio Diaz.
I've heard, I don't know how true this is, but I read it, that fight has sold really, really poor.
That's it. Well,
I don't know how true. I read in it. I can't remember what it was. It was on a newspaper website. I can't remember what it was, but it said there was 6. I don't know how big the Sheffield Arena is. How do you know?
No, not off the top of my head, no.
About 10 to 12,000, isn't it, something like that? Okay. But I read that 6,000 tickets are sort of still unsold. So I've heard the prices are ridiculous. It's like the cheapest one is like 50 quid. And the highest one is like 300, or maybe I might be even wrong. I might be wrong with that, but the prices are through the roof. And you can't. And Amir Khan, come on, it's not like he's fighting Floyd Mayweather, is it? He's fighting Julio Diaz. He's fighting a guy. He's just basically everyone knows what it is. It's a fight. He's just gonna turn up and look good in.
Yeah.
He's not gonna. And over the past year or so, people in the UK are used to seeing kind of fights where you don't know what the outcome's gonna be because.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because Matchroom kind of put a lot of those fights on, haven't they? And I think it's because everyone's kind of got an appetite for competitive fights instead of just night out fights sort of thing. That fight's not really sold as well because Julio Diaz, he's not going to beat Amir Khan in my opinion.
No.
He's got a punch, but he's too slow. He moves forward, he brings his hands down. And Amir Khan has got lightning hands. He's just going to do to him what he done to Molina. He's just going to blitz him, cut his face up, and maybe stop him in the second half of the fight on his feet. And everyone who knows anything, I think, knows that, and that's why I don't think anyone's watching. Anyone's buying a ticket. You can't be expected to buy a ticket to something where you know the result's going to be, you're expected to fork out a fortune. And one thing as well, it's in Sheffield. That's Kell Brook's hometown.
True. Yeah, good point.
I don't think a lot of people have got onto that sort of thing, but would Tyson Fury sell out the Echo Arena?
Probably not, no.
No, he wouldn't. Would Adrian Broner sell out in Scotland?
No.
No?
Well, no, maybe Adrian Broner.
Okay, yeah, but Tyson Fury's big rival is David Price.
Yeah, he ain't selling out the no, he ain't selling out the Echo Arena. No.
So I don't think whoever made the decision to put that fight in Sheffield, I think he needs a sack seriously because what was he thinking? You can't be expected. They can't be surprised that the fight's not sold when it's a crap fight, the tickets cost a load of money, and you're fighting in kind of unwanted territory sort of thing. You're fighting on another guy's turf.
Of course, yeah. I mean, they should have done it in the MEN in Manchester.
Or London, yeah. Somewhere where a lot of Sheffield's become a bit of a fight city sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe not a mass one, but it's had a lot of big boxing shows over the last year or so with Kell Brook, hasn't it?
Yeah.
They're used to the boxing down there now. So, and it's not, Sheffield's not going to attract as many kind of mainstreamers, if that's the word, part-time fans who kind of just know Amir Khan and David Haye because they read about them in the paper.
Yeah.
London and Manchester is going to attract far more, not just because of bigger cities as well. They're going to attract far more of them than they are in Sheffield is, and that's the type of crowd Amir Khan appeals to in the UK because not many hardcore boxing fans in the UK like him for whatever reason. And the other people who do or know him are the ones who because they've seen him on ITV sort of thing.
Sure.
Yeah. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'd have it probably in Manchester.
Yeah.
In terms of that, I mean, you got to look who's on the undercard too. You've got, Audley. He can sell a few tickets.
I think that's the best fight the whole card.
Definitely, yeah, I agree, 100%. Yeah, you got Haroon Khan, so you want to be close to where his friends are, because he's going to be able to sell tickets to his mates and stuff. You want all the other undercard guys, on there. Anthony Ogogo. See, there you go. There's Anthony Ogogo. Get it in London. You want to have it in London. That's where you want it, really. I reckon. Yeah. Amir Khan. Look at people like Amir Khan, Haroon Khan. They're both of them Pakistani guys. You want to go somewhere where there's a large Pakistani community to draw draw support from, because that's how it works sometimes. And London, Manchester, places like that would be great for him.
Again, yeah.
Not Sheffield.
Again, you'd maybe get some of the, you know, the C-list celebrities sort of thing. Because Amir Khan's got a few mates, and so's a go-go. He's on the telly. If you had it in London or Manchester, maybe you'd get like a few people from like, you know, spotted at ringside. Like, what celebrity mate of Amir Khan's going to go watch him in Sheffield?
Yeah, I mean...
It looks good to have it ringside kind of thing. It's good PR. You can see some guy from Corrie who's there.
Exactly,
yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean? You get them for a lot of fights, but how many of them are going to go to one when it's in Sheffield? They go to one in London or Manchester, because it's where they live. The majority of them are not going to go to in London, are they? It feels like a real bad decision to have it in Sheffield.
Yeah, well,
whoever's made that decision, I think, has made a real cock-up.
Of course, well, you know what, it's Golden Boy, isn't it? It's Golden Boy UK, so you want to think it's part, you know what I mean? I'm not sure about it, so I'm not going to say it's definitely a person, but I reckon it's an American trying to work in the UK. Saying, you know,
doesn't get it yet.
Yeah, doesn't get it yet. Doesn't get it. Or maybe they're trying to make maybe it's a forced, like, you know, thing with, you know, Kell Brook and his fans trying to sit on Kell Brook's turf and saying, look, I've just sold all these tickets on your turf. But apparently it's not going to plan.
Yeah, that's happened. It's blew up in his face, hasn't it? But the thing about Amir Khan, do you know what he said today?
No.
That Kell Brook's got no heart because he pulled out the fight twice, and that he's gone into fights with injuries and he's won them, and if Kell Brook was a real warrior, then he'd have gone to the Alexander fight. That's the gist of what he said. He said it today in an article. And again, it's a case of, if he's making out like Kell Brook is some no-mark who keeps talking about him, and Amir Khan doesn't need him sort of thing, but Amir Khan's the one who keeps talking about Kell Brook.
Yeah, you've just lost your last 2 fights, mate.
Yeah, Amir Khan is the one fighting on Kell Brook's turf. He's the one kind of firing back at Kell Brook and trying to tread on Kell Brook's toes. Like, if you don't care about Kell Brook that much and you think you don't need Kell Brook that much, why are you going through all this effort to kind of belittle him and kind of stick your thumb in his eye by going to his hometown sort of thing? What?
Yeah.
You get it?
I mean, I get it, but, you know, it is a good thing for Kell Brook, you know. You know, there's one way that people are going to start to really like Kell Brook, and that's if he actually gets a fight with Amir Khan. Because everyone who really hates Amir Khan is just going to become one of the biggest fans of Kell Brook ever.
Yeah.
You know, there's just going to be the bandwagon. He might as well order a few of them, the bandwagons right now. Get everyone down on it, you know. Other than that, you know, I mean, like I said, I mean, I don't know what the deal is with Kell Brook yet. I think we'll end up finding out soon. Yeah. But, you know, I can't blame him. If he's injured, I can't blame him. If he's not injured, I still don't blame him fully because I think he was walking into a fixed fight anyway. So, you know, you didn't do nothing bad.
Yeah, just yourself down, Kell, and kind of come again. You know, it's not like you're old and that was your last chance. It was just your first chance. That's not really gone to plan.
It's your first chance. You're still undefeated. You know, it could be much worse. Don't worry about it. I mean, Amir Khan, you know, for him to talk about other people, I don't think he should do, because every time he talks about someone else, he gets knocked out.
Yeah. Yes.
So, you know, he should probably think about that. But, you know, Amir Khan, you know, I've got to give it to him. He does have great heart. You know, it doesn't matter how hurt he gets. His will to win is, you know, second to none in the sport. You know, Victor Ortiz, I think he stole all of Victor Ortiz's heart. You know what I mean? I think as a child he must have stole all of his heart and kept it all for himself. Because, you know, Ortiz, he ain't got no heart. That's a guy with no heart. Someone who, in the middle of fights, pulls out. You know, just says, I mean, I'm talking more about the Maidana fight against Ortiz where he went, well, man, I don't even think if I want to get hit in the face anymore, man. You know.
I don't think he's got no heart. I think he's mentally weak, basically. You know what I mean? He's not got the mental toughness like a lot of fighters haven't got. To be honest, to kind of bite down or come shield on a fight. If he had no heart, that would be again if he put. He's done it really, hasn't he? If he pulled out and said he was hurt when he wasn't, sort of thing. But I can kind of get annoyed with him for what happened with Maidana, but I don't blame him for pulling out against Lopez because his jaw was fucking...
Oh, of course, if you got a broken jaw, I mean, you know, the funny thing about that is people, you know, really diss him on that. I mean, really get all over him on that. And it's like, have you ever had a broken jaw?
It's not like he just had a kind of one that would heal in like a couple of weeks. His jaw needed surgery. It was broken in about 3 places. He couldn't talk like that badly. Like again, I don't think he's got no heart. I just think I don't think he's mentally strong enough. He's really weak. Have you seen when he gets knocked out by Floyd Mayweather? and he's kind of laughing.
Well, we'll talk about that for a second. You know, I think he's going to get, you know, diagnosed with an illness afterwards. I mean, I think he's got bipolar syndrome, you know, bipolar disorder.
You know,
no, I think it's bipolar disorder.
Yeah,
because because I know someone who's got it, and he looks a lot like him. You know, I mean, when I say looks like him, I mean a lot of his mannerisms are a lot like him. He's either really down, or he's really happy, or he's really down again. He's really, you know, extreme. You know, the one thing you think about when you think about Victor Ortiz is, you know, extremities that with him. You know, like when he was fighting Floyd, he was extremely angry, you know, before he went in for the headbutt, and he snapped like that, snapped. You know, went in for the headbutt. You know what I mean? He just, and then afterwards, he's like, I'm so sorry, I've got to kiss you now. Oh, I'm so sorry. And then, you know, he gets knocked out. Then he's jumping up. I'm like, I'm so happy. Why are you happy?
You just lost the biggest fight of your life. You got punched out, by a kind of a dirty tactic, and you just kind of smiling like you just won.
Just all extreme. I mean, I hope he's not. I hope he's not like that. Like I said, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he turns out to be, you know, bipolar. The other thing, he could be on drugs. You know what I mean? You know, on the ecstasy or something, because something else is wrong with him, maybe.
I think he needs to give Chavez Jr. a ring, doesn't he? And ask him for some. For some gear,
Definitely.
One last fight we'll talk about. Martin Murray.
Yes, Martinez.
I think that fight has really flown under the radar in the sense of I don't think it's getting anywhere near as much publicity as I thought it would do, because in Argentina it's like front page news, because Martinez is like Superman in Argentina. He won the Argentine Sportsman of the Year, which you'd think Messi would walk.
Yeah.
But Martinez got it instead. And because the stuff like the Falklands and Maggie Thatcher, because all that stuff's kind of in the news at the moment sort of thing, because it's topical, I kind of thought the press would kind of hype it up and say, oh, it's the old England versus Argentina sort of thing.
Yeah, apparently not.
And that's what it's like in Argentina. They're hyping it up. They can't get enough of it. But over here, it's like in England, like no one cares sort of thing. And all right, fair enough if you think Mark Murray's not got a chance, but I think he's got a lot more of a chance than Gavin Rees did against Adrian Broner.
Of course,
and that fight, you could people would shut up about that fight. If you get what I mean? Saying how great it was, and of course the fact that it's on Box Nation, not Sky, was hurted a little bit, like it does with any fight, because Sky have the big hype of Box Nation donks. But I still thought it would get a lot more coverage, and it kind of hasn't. It's a bit like it's not that bad a fight. I thought people would be up for that, because if Martin Murray goes over there and beats him, which I'll say it now, I think I've said it before, I think he will. I might be bonkers, but I'm going to say he will. But if he goes over there and beats him, it's definitely got to be a contender for the biggest upset ever involving a British fighter.
True,
Especially abroad, sort of thing. It'd be like when Ricky Hatton beat Costa Zoo, but Ricky Hatton was at home and Mark Murray's going over to the Lion's Den.
He's literally going to Argentina, but he better have a bulletproof vest.
Yeah, if he wins, I don't think he's getting out that stadium alive, because it's 50,000 seaters. You know what the South Americans are like. There's riots at football matches when they concede.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if their hero gets beat by some Englishman, because the Argentines don't like Englishmen?
Of course, yeah.
Can you imagine how crazy it's going to be? I can't believe like a lot of people are not like, oh, good on you, Martin. Go over there and teach the RGs a lesson. Let's get behind them. And maybe they are, but I've just not really found anyone.
No, I've not either. I mean, it's a good fight, and there's a lot of different, angles you can look at it too. I mean, if you want to look at Sergio Martinez, he's just coming back from knee ligament surgery, isn't he? So, I mean, what happens if he's fucked? What happens if his legs are done?
Exactly, that's what I said that before.
That's an angle that you could look at, if his mobility is shot, then it just becomes a much harder fight for him.
Yeah, Martin Murray's not the kind of guy you want to stand in front of, because if you do, you just make it easy for him.
No, Martin Murray is a big, strong man.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
He's got good fundamentals, but more importantly, he's a strong man. He's not like Darren Barker, and he's not like, Matthew Macklin. He's got some fundamentals, so he's a bit like Darren Barker, but he's got better, physical attributes than both of them put together. That's right.
Barker's a boxer, slicks there, isn't he? Mm-hmm. Macklin's a bit of a
I don't know what he is, mate.
It's just a tornado, isn't he? Explosive.
Yeah.
Because his fights are so fast-paced, but Money is just like a bull, isn't he? He comes forward and he's really, really powerful, and he pushes you back, and he makes it a fight, literally, doesn't he? A big, he makes it a scrap, that's the great word. And Martinez, coming off it, if I was coming off major knee surgery, and my movement wasn't very good, I wouldn't fancy a scrap at Martin Money, to be honest.
No.
So that's why I think it could happen. What if what if his legs give out on him? It happens in the Chavez fight, but luckily for him, it was right at the end, and he kind of he squeezed through.
With a minute to go, and he hobbled over the finish line.
He quite gone. What if that happens in the 4th or the 5th round? There's no way he's going to last against Matt Money. He's just going to eat him for dinner.
Yeah.
Seriously, and it's not that unrealistic. Knee surgery is massive surgery. There's loads of people who've had their careers ended because they didn't recover properly from knee surgery.
Of course, if you look at a lot of footballers, after they have major surgery on ligaments, they're never the same. Never the same.
Lost a yard of pace, haven't they? And Martinez, he moves around a lot, doesn't he?
He does.
So what if that's gone? If he just decides to stand and straight with Martin Murray, then I'm not going to say he'd definitely not be able to beat Martin Murray, but put it this way, it'd be much better for him to move around than not move around. And if he can't move around, then that is exactly what Martin Murray is hoping for or wants, because all it takes is for Martinez's leg to give out, Murray to catch him, for him to go down, and if his leg's fucked, it doesn't matter how clear his head is, he's not getting up if his leg's fucked, is it?
Exactly.
If he's counted out and he loses, Martin Murray's the new champion. It's not that unrealistic. I'm putting money on it, put it that way.
I'm not going to put any money on it, mate, but I'm going to watch it and I'm going to cheer for Martin Murray.
I'm not going to put an awful lot. I'm just going to put a sneaky few quid on it because I really do fancy it. So it's one of those fights where you think, you know what, I think he's going to do that. I might be mad, but put it this way, if Martin Murray doesn't beat Martinez, someone will. Mm-hmm. And I just hope it's not Chavez Jr. because they're just not. But Barbarian and Top Rank on him, whoever it is behind Chavez Jr., they're just not going to shut the fuck up. He beats Martinez, are they?
No. I mean, yeah, it'd be maybe. I'd like to see what Chavez is going to do next. I mean, he's looking for his next fight. Let's see where he goes. But I think they were saying something about trying to get a fight with Golovkin. Now that will be a fight.
Golovkin's fighting Macklin, isn't it? And I think he'll fight the winner of Macklin-Golovkin, wouldn't he?
That will be a fight. That will be a fight.
Yeah, because Golovkin's a massive puncher, but Chavez, he comes in a heavyweight.
Exactly. So, you can't call it. I mean, is the heavyweight going to, grind him down? Or is the power going to be just so impressive that he just sparks out, Chavez Jr.? So, I mean, people dislike Chavez Jr., but he can take a punch. He can do that. And he keeps coming forward, and he's got good heart and determination, and he keeps going. He doesn't say quit. That's a good fight. If I would say that's a super fight.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
it would be a super fight in America because Golovkin's becoming a big name, and the Americans are getting onto Golovkin now, aren't they?
Exactly.
And Chavez Jr., like I've said, he's got a massive promoter and behind him. HBO absolutely love him to death. They were like cheering for him against Martinez.
It just makes sense. The whole thing makes sense.
Two
people HBO super fight that could be pay-per-view. In fact, I would if I got told about that, it's going to be on this date in a few months' time, I'd start putting money away. I'd start putting money away, and I'll be attending in person. That's what I think.
I think you're going to have to pay a lot of money to go to Texas, because that's where it'll be.
But don't worry, they like the English accent in Texas, don't worry.
Do they?
Yeah, they love it.
I've never been to Texas, so...
They're like, oh my gosh, your accent.
So, what's your petition for Murray Martinez? I've said, I think, I'd really, really love it if Martin Murray can do it. My head says Martinez will win a decision because I don't think Murray is the sort to be knocked out like Barker and Backlund will. I think he's too tough and he's too rugged and he's too hard. Simple as that. I just think if Martinez is going to beat him, he's just he might stop him on cuts, or he'll just outbox him. Or do you think Martin Murray might be able to pull it off? What do you think?
I think it's going to be a decision. I'm sorry, I think it's Sergio Martinez's decision. Sorry, mate. I mean, I just don't see it. I'd love him to do it, but I don't see it.
Fair enough. To be honest, I can't argue with anyone who says this is why Martinez is going to win. Because again, I'm just going with my heart, not really.
Yeah.
Because it's for me, it's one of those fights that I just fancy. If you get what I mean.
Of course.
Really think Murray's going to. You know what? I think Murray's not definitely going to do it, but I definitely think he could do it. And again, it goes back to the point. I don't think enough people are getting behind him or paying attention enough to it, because it's not you can call it a mismatch, but it's not the worst mismatch in the world. Mismatch, sorry.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's not a bad mismatch because Murray's a good guy, but yeah. I mean, I expect Martinez to win a decision. A stoppage would be impressive.
It would be, yeah. I think if he does stop Murray, it would be on something like, I don't know, cuts or something like that. Because I don't think he'd knock Martin Murray's spark out for the 10 count like he did with Macklin and Barker, because
and Paul Williams.
And Paul Williams, yeah. Do you remember that? They're like every night. Yeah.
I still look at that every now and again now.
Yeah, I don't think he'd do that with Murray, because I think Murray's just so strong and so tough. I don't think it could. It could. I know what's going to happen now, because every time I make a prediction, it blows up in my face. I said David Price would absolutely beat Thompson, no problem, and look what happens. So I'm sorry if I'm jinxing it, Martin, but I think you could do it. I really think you could.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll definitely see. It'll be a good fight anyway. Good fight.
Yeah. So everyone who listens to this, get behind Martin Murray, because it's not fair. Come on, get behind him. He's a British boy. Let's see him go over there and spank those RGs. Those cocky RGs, yeah.
Yeah. We'll give them this will be their second biggest loss since the Falklands.
It will be, yeah. Because if he gets, like I said, if he gets out alive, because if he goes over there and he beats Mr. Argentina in the Argentine capital in like their Wembley Stadium, where it's going to be, then
there'll be a sniper on the roof.
I hope he's got a bodyguard and a shitload of fucking bullets. Because he's not getting out there alive. Because even the Argentine president is like going to be there. That's how big it is over there. It's
is it that woman? Yeah, is she going there?
That fuck ugly woman, yeah. Who keeps moaning about the Falklands. Yeah, she's going to be there. Again, they pushed the whole Argentina and England thing to the moon. And it's not happened over here, and it surprised me. I thought we'd kind of get on it. Do you know, like rags like the Sun and the Daily Mail that are really kind of...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Almost radical.
Almost radical. They'd jump on it and say, go on, Martin Murray, go over there and beat the RGs, which is kind of, you do kind of feel a little bit, but I thought they'd really take it to the next level. It's just not happened. Maybe if it was on Sky, that would happen, but it's not on Sky, it's on Box Nation, isn't it? So
yeah, I know. Maybe...
Box Nation, I don't think doesn't get anywhere near as much hype as the Sky fights do.
No,
really, so.
definitely not, no. So yeah, I mean, is that it then, yeah? We're going to call it there?
Let's call it a night, yeah, mate. It's nearly midnight now. I need my cocoa, so I can go to sleep.
Okay then, well, have a great night, and thanks for having me on here.